So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So we sit down and already I seen the prices. So I'm like, I only brought $20. And I think like all the meals like went over, like already started like at 10, 15 or whatever. But I was like, it was a really nice place because it's a place where like you can cook your steak on the on this black rock or something like that. It was something like that. I don't know. But I already knew I wasn't gonna get that, and he kept asking me what I wanted, and I was like, oh, I'll just get a burger. I've never been to this restaurant before, so I don't want to get something and then I don't enjoy it. Plus, I don't always eat everything that I get off a date. So anything that's left over, I give it to my son. So I don't like to waste food. So we sitting there, we talking, and it's like, I don't know. He was like, he's happy that it's me. I'm like, I'm happy that it's you. So we go into the whole spill of, now we're asking each other like questions we should have been asking each other. But because the way he came in my inbox, it was like we were just friends, like lost contact with each other. And we were just like talking about daily stuff. Like I didn't realize like we didn't even ask each other what our favorite color was. And even my kid, I didn't even realize that because he's like, okay, how old are you? And then he goes into the kids part. And that's one thing in everybody that I date. I always tell them how many children I have because I don't want it to be a issue later. So I always tell them like straight up before you even ask me on a date, before you even ask me for my number, like, look, I got six kids. I don't need somebody to help me take care of them, but I just want somebody to be there really for not for us, but I just always make it clear that I'm not on here to get somebody to help me take care of my children. That's not what I'm on here for. Like, I'm really looking for a companion. I'm looking for my best friend. I'm looking for somebody, like I could spend time with. It's nothing about taking care of my children. That's not what I'm on here for. So when he tells me, that damn cat. So when he asked me how many children I have, I'm like looking at him like, no, I told you how many kids I have. He's like, no, you didn't. I'm like, yes, I did. So I go back on the app because before I delete the app, I have to, I wanted to see one of them first. So I go back on the app. I'm going through our messages. There's not one time I mentioned my kids. And I'm like, oh my God, like, so, and it was not like I was like ashamed to tell him, but it's like I did all of this for no reason because, like I said, he still looked like but his personality didn't show that. So I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I got 6 kids. He said, whoa, just like that. And I was like, yeah. So then he started asking me my relationship with the fathers. I'm like, well, they're non-existent. They've been non-existent for years now. So then he was like, okay. So we get back on the date, asking each other. And one thing I did notice about what he brought up his first baby mama a lot. I don't know if that was because like he really was like in love with her or whatever. Maybe it was because his second baby mama was like in the midst in between their breakup, because he was telling me about like how his daughters was like why they so back to back, because they looked alike. So he's like yeah, like his first baby mama was very abusive. So I'm like, and he's like, he's light skinned, so she used to scratch him up pretty a lot. And I'm like, damn, that sucks. Like you never really hear a guy complain about a woman putting their hands on him. And I was like, well, that's also a good sign. That means he doesn't hit back, because for you to have to really like escape for your safety says a lot about his character. So already, like, I'm like, okay, dude, we still, like, talking or whatever. And then in the midst of us, like, our food coming out, and he kept saying, like, why don't you get the steak? Why don't you get the steak? And at first I'm like, we still haven't established who's paying, so I'm gonna get what I can afford, and it's gonna be a burger. Plus, I don't know how these people food are, and I already know, like, I'm not gonna eat everything. I don't know if, like, I doubt my son's gonna eat the steak. He probably would, because whatever I bring from the restaurant, he ends up eating anyways. So when our food comes out, his cousin ends up calling him in the middle of it, which I already thought was like a setup, because I was like, because he kept, when he answered the phone, he kept saying, I'm eating, I'll call you back, I'm eating. I'm like, why are you so in my head, I was like, oh, his cousin was supposed to be like, if I wasn't who I said I was, or he didn't find me attractive, it was gonna it was supposed to end the date much earlier so he could get out of the date if I wasn't who I said I was. But I was who I said I was. So by the end of the day, like, we started talking, and he's like, I guess now we can exchange our real numbers. I looked at him, I said, you do have my real number. He's like, wait, what? He was like, you can't be giving people on that website your real number. You know, there'd be crazy people out there. And then he started to tell me about a girl that he was talking to a couple of months before, I guess, we started talking, and how she was like crazy. He was talking about how she still called him to this day. So he ended up giving her like a text now number, but the number that I was texting him on was a text now number. So he was like, I'm gonna give you my real number, but like, you shouldn't be giving out people on a dating website your number. So then so I was like, oh, okay. So I'm thinking the date went well. Like, I'm like ecstatic. He is who he say he is, and he's even finer. He's like foreign in person, like foreign in person. And he was tall too. I was like, God, just, yeah, 6'9", baby. So, so I'm like, okay, why is he telling me all this? So when we end up leaving, he doesn't walk me to my car, which I thought that was weird. I was like, you're supposed to be a gentleman and walk me to my car, but we like was in the middle where his car was and my car was. And then so I'm thinking it going well, and then he was like, stop giving people out your real number on that website. You need to download that app if you're gonna be giving out your number like that. So in my head, I'm like, okay, the date didn't go well, because why would you tell me that? I like you. I thought you liked me too. So I'm like, oh, I guess the date didn't go well. I left that alone.